38-17, the final score here inside Beaver Stadium as Penn State knocks off Villanova on Saturday afternoon. Welcome into the Unrivaled Postgame Show. I'm your host, Mitch Gerber. Coming up on today's show, we'll recap this victory over Villanova. We'll take a look at how things shook out, and we'll also visit with head coach James Franklin one-on-one, as well as Parker Washington and Derek Tangelo. This is the Unrivaled Postgame Show live on Facebook, Twitter, Lion Vision, and YouTube. Once again, 38-17, the final score. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know any questions that you might have for Coach Franklin, Parker Washington, or Tangelo. Let's take a look at how Penn State knocked off Villanova with a couple of highlights. Starting in the first quarter, the very first offensive play for Penn State. This was a 52-yard connection in 8 seconds. It's all it took for Penn State to be able to start this game off on a fast note. That's Clifford to Dotson, the 6th straight game with a touchdown reception for Jahan Dotson. Here we are in a 7-3 contest. A nice play by Sean Clifford to elude some pressure and find one of his tight ends, Theo Johnson, on the right side. Here we are, 7-3, second quarter. This was a solid connection for Clifford to Parker Washington, who has been waiting to find the back of the end zone. He does so right there. Parker Washington, a 52-yard touchdown reception from Sean Clifford, the first touchdown of the season for Parker. That wasn't all for Mr. Washington. As you see right here in the second quarter, 10:05 left on the clock, nearly found the back of the end zone once again, stepped out just barely right there at about the 9-yard line. Penn State would end up picking up 3 points on that one. A 29-yard field goal from Jordan Stout. Here we are in the third quarter, just out of the gate in the second half. Keandre Lambert-Smith with the 6th longest reception and scoring play in Penn State's history with that one. That one was an electric play for Keandre Lambert-Smith, the 6th longest play in Penn State's history. First touchdown of the season for him. And then we got Jair Brown, the 2nd interception for him so far this season. The first one coming back at Wisconsin. Good to see Tig back there picking up another interception. And then Arnold Abakady continues to be a dominant force up front on that defensive front for Penn State, picking up a sack there. Number 17 continuing to do big things in that Penn State uniform. Here we are in the third quarter. Parker Washington, I promised you, found the back of the end zone. That's the second time he found it. And then you got Tyler Warren with the rushing touchdown of 3 yards, the 2nd straight game that he's found the back of the end zone in that Penn State uniform. 38-17, the final score, as we'll visit with head coach James Franklin coming up here momentarily, as well as Parker Washington and Derek Tangelo, defensive tackle for Penn State. Picked up, I believe, 3 total tackles and then a sack and a half registered for him today on that defensive side of the football. If you missed the Unrivaled pregame show earlier, go back and watch that. Some good content there, including a one-on-one interview with a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Not going to give that away exactly who it was, but make sure to go back and watch that interview as you get a live look at the tunnel on the left-hand side of your screen right now. Fans rolling back up here. Good crowd overall here at Beaver Stadium today. 105,790 registered attendance here today inside Beaver Stadium, following a 109,000 performance for the Penn State Whiteout just a week ago. Want to give our thoughts to Tyler Will, the graduate student for Villanova, who went down early in that second half. There was a report that came out, said that they are evaluating him for concussion-like symptoms, and he is doing as good as he possibly can be for this situation. So thoughts are with Tyler Will, the graduate student for Villanova. We'll continue to try to update you if there is any updated information during this broadcast on the Unrivaled Postgame Show. Let's go back and take a look at those highlights one more time of how this game shook out between Penn State and Villanova as we await head coach James Franklin to meet with us here momentarily. This was the first possession of offense for Penn State. That's Clifford to Dotson, who continue to be one of the top dynamic duos in the country. Parker Washington, if you don't know that name by now, you absolutely should figure that out. All right, we're going to break away from our coverage right now to be able to visit with Derek Tangelo. You can come right over here, brother. Once again, 3 total tackles for him today, 1.5 TFLs. Derek Tangelo, number 54, here at Penn State University. All right, 38-17, the final score, just right over your stat line. What was your takeaway from today?
We were playing a very disciplined group. They have a lot of grad seniors. They have 8 grad seniors. They're well coached. They came in, they were poised. But, I just felt like we had to execute in the framework of our defense. We had to keep playing with effort. We got to keep supporting each other. And ultimately, we came away with the victory.
In your opinion, how did you execute in the framework of the defense today?
I feel like I did a good job. There's a couple things that I got to clean up. But, I feel like it was a good day at the office.
When you talk about a couple of things that you need to clean up, what are a couple of those things that you want to work on?
It's just being consistent with my eyes. Coach always talks about reading your keys is going to take you to the play. So just making sure I focus on that, our hand placement, just making sure I'm striking the right way so I can shed my gap and things such as that.
When you look at this game overall, obviously you said Villanova, a couple of graduate players on that roster to say the least. But when you break things down and go back and look at the game film, which we will do, how do you make sure to actually enjoy this victory, the 4th one of the season for Penn State?
Our coach always says we got to enjoy the wins because, winning is very hard. So, I'm going to look at the film and I'm going to grade myself very harshly. But at the end of the day, I got to understand that we won the game.
We saw a sack on the highlights from your teammate Arnold Ebiketie, who continues to develop that top-level talent on the defensive front. What makes him such a playmaker?
He really just comes to practice, comes to work hard. He really just has fun playing the game, and he's a good guy to feed off of, Every day he always like, who going to make a play, who going to make a play? So I feel like he has it in the mentality it's going to be him, but he's challenging us to beat him to the ball.
That's number 54, Derek Tangelo, visiting with us on the Unrivaled Postgame Show. Appreciate you stopping by, as once again, Penn State picked up that 38-17 victory.
Hey, this is my guy right here, man. You know what I'm saying? I owe a lot to him, So y'all be good to him, and I'm going to see y'all next week. You feel me? I'm out.
Enjoy your night, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate you stopping by on the Unrivaled Postgame Show, as that's Derek Tangelo. Defensive highlights are up on deck. Let's take a look at some of those highlights from this contest. Derek Tangelo just talking about the explosive plays that this defense was able to make in this game, including his teammate Arnold Ebiketie, who continues to be that force to be reckoned with up front in the Big Ten, as Big Ten play will pick back up next week against Indiana here inside Beaver Stadium. That's a 7:30 p.m. kick on ABC, another primetime game. There's a big man, Derek Tangelo. How about P.J. Mustafa on this play, picking up a sack in the backfield on 3rd down? Big play there by number 97, and then nice pass deflection there by number 25, continuing to get some experience. And that's another big factor of this game, getting some of those younger guys on the 2-3 deep chart, some experience in this contest. There's that play we were just talking about with Tangelo. Arnold Ebiketie with the sack. Look at that replay. Able to get to the backfield, blow by his offensive lineman, and pick up that sack. 38-17, the final score in this contest, as we await to visit with head coach James Franklin momentarily. Couple of stats for you guys. Sean Clifford was just 11 yards shy in this contest of breaking 5,500 career yards. He did that today. As you take a look at his connection with Parker Washington right here down the right side. Nice play by Parker Washington, who picked up 2 touchdowns in this contest. We visit with head coach James Franklin. Coach, what are your key takeaways from this matchup?
Well, first of all, Villanova's a good football team. Give them a lot of credit. I thought they played with poise. The moment wasn't too big for them. They executed their plan. Defensively, I thought we played well with our starters. We gave up 3 points. I wanted to do some heavy substitutions, and we gave up points. And the guys that go in got to live up to the standards. They kept their starters in. Offensively, obviously, we threw the ball extremely well. We got to run the ball better. We continue to talk about that, so we're going to have to emphasize that again this week. And then I thought special teams, we were solid. I'll watch the tape. I thought we were solid.
How do you emphasize the run game moving forward?
It's reps. It's say we're running the ball 40% of the time in practice, we need to run the ball 50% of the time. We need to go through the tape in detail and make sure everybody understands the corrections that need to be made.
There's a lot of explosive plays in this game, starting with the first one on offense from Clifford to Dotson. Took all of 8 seconds. When you look at those explosive plays, you often emphasize, got to capitalize on those opportunities. How did the offense do that today?
Well, I think sometimes, I've been in this long enough where I think sometimes when you get an early score like that fast, that guys take a deep breath and feel like it's going to be easy the rest of the day, and that's not the case. But, the other thing that happens early on sometimes is the quarterback early in the game will overthrow those balls. I thought Sean threw a beautiful ball there, and obviously, Jahan finished it.
Defensively, you talked about getting some reps in for some of those other guys within the roster. How valuable is that despite what you just said?
It's really valuable. Obviously, you hate to give up some of those big plays and those points, but it will be valuable long term. It'll be valuable next week because we were able to save a lot of guys reps.
Coach, appreciate your time. Enjoy the victory.
Thank you.
Penn State wins 38-17 over Villanova as head coach James Franklin wraps up his coverage with us on the Unrivaled Postgame Show. He will visit with the local media momentarily as he'll walk right past us, head down to the field, and visit with those individuals and close out his day here inside Beaver Stadium. This was the third consecutive home game for Penn State here in Beaver Stadium. They'll wrap up a 4-game homestand. Kind of crazy when you actually think about that to open the season. You got the road victory at Wisconsin, then 4 straight home games here inside Beaver Stadium, and then you flip the page and you go to Iowa, which it was just announced during today's game that will be a noon kick, I believe, on Fox. So an early kick on the in the Midwest, 11 Central, noon Eastern. Let's take one more quick look at those Parker Washington highlights as we await his appearance here on the Unrivaled Postgame Show. Parker Washington with a couple of touchdowns today on behalf of Penn State. Good to see number 3 get in the back of the end zone, something he's been waiting to do this season. Heck of a job by number 3 to able to elude some of the defenders from Villanova. And then you see right here, once again, over the middle, nearly capitalized on this one, ended up stepping out just barely at about the 9-yard line. Had to have felt good, to say the least, for number 3, the native of Sugar Land, Texas. And here's another touchdown reception for Parker Washington. We visit with him now on the Unrivaled Postgame Show. You found the back of the end zone twice today. How good did it feel to get that off your back?
Oh, it definitely felt good today. I was excited to make plays for my team, and it was just great to be in the end zone.
How were you able to make those couple of explosive plays?
I just trusted all our practice we did this week. We just executed. Sean made great throws, and we just made the play.
When you were eluding a couple of those defenders across the middle, we saw the highlight where you stepped out at about the 9-yard line as we take a look at it right here. Take us through this play and how you were able to obviously move from right to left so effectively.
I just trusted and reverted back to our training, and I was excited to make the play, and I was glad I was in that opportunity today.
From a mental standpoint, you've obviously been itching to get to the back of the end zone. How have you stayed patient with that approach and trusting the guys behind you?
Oh, you always just trust the process. And then when your number's called, just make the play. And we practice this every week, every day, and I was excited to get the opportunity, and it was great to do it.
What do you still want to improve within your game despite picking up a couple of TDs today?
Just keep execute to my best ability, and then just stay focused and keep watching film and stay on top of my game and all the fine stuff, routes, anything. Make the play, make the catch, all that.
This being your second season with Penn State, your habits have continued to develop. That includes film study. How have you seen your game now pay off because of some of those studies?
Most of the study, you got to be in the right place at the right time and understand the coverages. It helps me, and I'm able to make the plays for my team.
A couple of other wide receivers found the back of the end zone today for you guys. Obviously, Jahan Dotson makes it 6 straight games, but Keandre Lambert-Smith also found the end zone today. How good is it to see that wide receiver core go outside of just number 5?
Oh, it was exciting. And just talk about Keandre, that was my highlight of the day. And I was excited for him, and I'm ready to see more of that in the future.
From your perspective, being a teammate of his, why is Jahan Dotson so explosive 4 games through the season?
Because he comes to work every day. Like I said, he trusts the process. He trusts Sean, our O-line, everybody. And when his number's called, he makes the play, and he's decided to make the play as well.
How have you developed some of your habits off of him?
Oh, just coming out with a positive attitude every day. He does that day in, day out. And it's just exciting to see what he does and what we can do as a receiver core in the offense.
Last one for you. You mentioned the offensive line. They've continued to be able to establish some time for Sean Clifford to throw. How big of a difference have you seen from last year at this point with the offensive front? Actually, I'm sorry, the first game of the season to the 4th game of the season.
They get our offense going. They're the engine. And without them, we wouldn't be who we are and the plays that we make. And it's all shout outs to them. And they come to work every day. And you're just excited to see what they do for Sean Clifford every week.
Premium gas only there for the engine up front.
Oh, no.
That's Parker Washington, who picks up 2 touchdown receptions today inside Beaver Stadium. Parker, appreciate you stopping by.
Oh, no doubt. Thank you so much.
2 touchdowns for number 3 today, the native of Sugar Land, Texas, as he gets that monkey off his back to be able to find the back of the end zone. Now, this is a live scene outside of Beaver Stadium at the moment, and that's where Penn State players, the coaching staff personnel will all walk out of. I think that's the first time that's been like that this season. A sea of people to be able to greet and celebrate another victory for Penn State as they knock off Villanova 38-17. That's going to wrap up our coverage from Beaver Stadium, but fans, don't forget to join us next week for Penn State and Indiana, a 7:30 p.m. kick. That's going to be on ABC, but join us ahead of time for the Unrivaled pregame show, live from Team Arrival. Let us know what you want to see, whether that's at the start of the show, maybe some interviews, potentially what you want to see at Team Arrival, if you want a camera on the bus, whatever it might be. Please let us know what you want to see as we continue to develop a community, a worldwide community of Penn State football fans. That's going to do it for this edition of the Unrivaled Postgame Show. Penn State 38-17 victory over Villanova.